Today, we're diving into the incredible story of a man whose legacy is just foundational to multiple world religions. We're talking about a figure known by so many extraordinary titles, a single person who really changed the course of human faith forever. So, let's just start by looking at the titles he was given, because they tell you so much. He was called Khalilullah, which means the friend of God, for his unbelievable closeness to the divine. He was also called an ummah, which is like an entire nation in one man. Why? Because at one point, he was literally the only believer on earth. And maybe the most famous one, Abul Anbiya, the father of all prophets. Just these names alone tell you we're dealing with an absolutely monumental figure.
Okay, so our story kicks off in ancient Babylonia, that's modern-day Iraq, in a world that was just completely steeped in tradition. And it's here that Abraham stood totally alone against what everyone believed. And that challenge, it started in the most personal place you can imagine, his own home. Now just think about the guts this took. Ibrahim's very first challenge was to confront his own father, Azar. And get this, Azar wasn't just some follower of the local religion, he was a master sculptor. He was the guy who literally carved the gods his people prayed to with his own two hands. But instead of coming in hot, with aggression, Ibrahim chose a path of just calm, undeniable logic. He asks this simple but incredibly deep question. It's not an attack, it's a gentle plea for reason. He's basically saying, Dad, how can something you made with your hands be your maker? And you'd think that kind of clear, heartfelt logic would get through, right? Nope. His appeal was met with this wall of rejection and a threat of extreme violence. His own father chose tradition over truth and threatened to have him killed for just asking a question. So after that encounter with his father, Ibrahim didn't just give up. Not even close. Instead, he took his message wider. He went from a private conversation in his home to a public debate with his entire civilization. And this right here, this really breaks down the core conflict. It's a fundamental clash of worldviews. On one side, you've got Ibrahim making his case for one creator based on pure logic and what he can see. And on the other side, the whole community, whose only argument was, well, this is what our ancestors did. It was a straight-up battle between critical thinking and just blind conformity. He then did something absolutely brilliant to challenge their worship of stars and planets. He basically used the night sky as a real-time demonstration. He points to a star, then the moon, and then even the powerful sun. And each time, when it sets and disappears, he uses it to prove a simple, powerful point. A true God doesn't just disappear. A real creator has to be constant, eternal. So after he publicly and so logically dismantled their arguments right before their very eyes, he made his own unwavering declaration. He said he was turning his faith not to the things in the sky, but to the one unseen creator of the sky. But when logic didn't work, and even patient demonstrations didn't convince them, Ibrahim decided he had to take a more direct and way more dramatic step. This was an act of defiance that was designed to completely shatter their beliefs once and for all. So he waits for the city to be empty during a big festival. Then he walks right into their temple, a place filled with statues his own father might have carved, and he just takes an axe to all of them. Well, all of them except the biggest one. And this wasn't just about destruction. He was setting the stage for one final, undeniable lesson. As you can imagine, when everyone got back, they were furious. Their temple was wrecked, their gods were in pieces, and they knew exactly who to blame. The one guy who'd been speaking out against them. So they dragged Ibrahim out for a public showdown. And his response? It was a total masterstroke. He doesn't confess, he doesn't deny it, he just flips their accusation right back at them with a challenge. He basically says, hey, don't ask me. Your big God is right there. He's still holding the axe. Why don't you ask him? And right there, they were completely trapped by their own logic. See, to accuse Ibrahim, they had to first admit that the big idol couldn't possibly have done it. They actually said, these things can't speak. In that one moment, they were forced to admit that the statues they worshipped were totally powerless. So what happens when you've been so thoroughly beaten by logic, when your entire belief system has been exposed? For them, the only answer left was brute force. They couldn't win the argument, so they just decided to get rid of the man who did. Their rallying cry was to burn him alive to defend gods they had just admitted were helpless. And this leads to the story's incredible climax. They built this raging fire, so huge that apparently birds flying over it would just fall from the sky from the heat. But as Ibrahim was thrown into that inferno, a divine command came down and it completely changed the nature of fire itself. The blaze became a place of cool peace, and he walked out totally unharmed.
Surviving that fire wasn't the end of his story. Oh no, it was really just the beginning. That miracle cemented his mission, and it laid the foundation for a legacy that would go on to shape the spiritual world for thousands of years.
And this is really how he earned that title, the father of prophets. Through his two sons, an amazing prophetic lineage was born. From his firstborn, Ismail, the prophet Muhammad would eventually descend. And from his second son, Isaac, or Ishak, came a line of prophets that are central to both Judaism and Christianity. We're talking Moses and Jesus. 3 major world religions trace their spiritual roots right back to this one man. And that's exactly why his story still matters so much today. It's just this powerful, timeless example of what it means to stand for truth, to use your mind and logic as tools of faith, and to hold on to what you believe even when you are completely and totally alone against the rest of the world. So, all of this leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to chew on. Ibrahim's entire life was defined by his refusal to just conform. And it kind of forces us to ask ourselves, in a world that is always pressuring us to fit in, to just follow along without asking questions, what does it really mean to have true conviction?